Hello and welcome back to the Beacon Broadcast. Today we have for you episode 082. It's May 12th, 2025. I'm Kodax and I'll be your host through this week's broadcast. This past week I purchased no new games. I know, quite the shocker. I didn't have anything arrive. I did have a replacement for the damaged copy of Metal Slug Tactics. Which, if you remember, I ordered from Limited Run Games, and they delivered me a copy that was slightly damaged, so I asked for a replacement, expecting that I would have to return the original copy, the damaged one, and get a new copy sent to me. Instead, they just sent me a new copy, so now I have two copies of Metal Slug Tactics, one with some slightly damaged, plastic seal around the game, not even really that big of a deal. And then, of course, the sealed copy that was delivered to me. I will say I was impressed. They really went out of their way to package the replacement item quite well compared to how they normally ship out their games. So, I don't know. I kind of found that a little funny and ironic. Maybe if they had just shipped it, fully and completely and safely the first time, we wouldn't have been in this issue where they needed to send me a replacement copy to begin with. But that's neither here nor there. Kind of cool. I got two copies, maybe one I can open and use and another to keep sealed and nice looking on my shelf. I have been continuing my playthrough of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and I just want to say I'm still completely enamored with this game. I absolutely love it. I'm now in the third and final act of the game, which is a shorter act because... well, it's as short as you want it to be. The act starts and you can immediately go to the final destination to beat the game. But there's a whole bunch of optional party member quests to do to increase relationship levels with them and get new abilities and specific gear and things like that. And then there's all these other optional little world bosses and things like that as well as this tower known as the Endless Tower, where you can take on these increasingly challenging challenges. Filled with revised version of previous bosses that you faced and things like that. So I've been exploring some of that side content before I go into the final story segment. Although I hear if you do too much of the side stuff, you end up finding yourself really overpowered for the last boss of the game, or the last area of the game, and you'll just kind of walk through it real easily. So there's some recommendations where you can tune that a little differently to make sure you can still fully experience everything that the boss fight has to offer. So we'll be sure to make those changes to my build to make sure I don't just completely one-shot the final boss of the game and it kind of be boring and anticlimactic. This past weekend, I did go to the Honkai Star Rail 2nd anniversary event, known as Honkai Star Rail Live in Irvine, California. I didn't really participate in the event too much. It was really hot this past Saturday, and this was primarily an outdoor event until the theater screening experience later in the afternoon. I went at 11 when they advertised the merchandise pickup for those that had ticketed access to the event. There was a special merchandise bag that included a whole bunch of things, various commemorative stuff for the event. And it said supplies were limited, or that it was while supplies lasted, which doesn't really make sense because they know exactly how many tickets they have. They should be able to provide the same amount of, merchandise bags for those that bought tickets. That's kind of part of the ticket price was the merchandise you got that was exclusive to the ticketed people. There was also a separate shop, but when I got there at 11, the line for the pop-up shop was 500 people long. It was wrapped around the Irvine Spectrum. It was crazy. So by 12 o'clock, I had picked up my merchandise, took some photos of the event area, and I was kind of do I really want to sit around for the next 3-4 hours waiting for my screening to start? It's 90 plus degrees outside. And so I just went home. I didn't stick around for the theater screening of the concert performance. My understanding from someone who went to one of the later screenings is that it was the same exact performance that they posted on YouTube. So I guess I just missed the opportunity to do it or to experience it in a theater with a crowd, which I guess is maybe kind of a bummer. But I was at home playing more Clair Obscur, and so yeah, apologies for not taking full advantage of my ticket and having a full report for you. But I would say it was definitely nowhere near as interesting and unique as the event they did for the first anniversary last year in Los Angeles, where they gave it that kind of 1920s Hollywood sort of theme to it. That was just really special. One of the better, more immersive events I've been to in recent memory. So we're going to kick off the news talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. So what was set to be the biggest game launch of 2025, heck, this past decade, Grand Theft Auto 6 has now been delayed to May 26th, 2026. This is not an entirely unexpected development, as the scope of Grand Theft Auto 6 appears to be a massive Herculean effort. Industry analysts and insiders have been saying for months that a 2025 release was becoming more and more unlikely as the game continues to get refined and polished. Here's the full announcement from Rockstar Games. Hi everyone, Grand Theft Auto 6 is now set to release on May 26, 2026. We are very sorry that this is later than you expected. The interest and excitement surrounding a new Grand Theft Auto has been truly humbling for our entire team. We want to thank you for your support and your patience as we work to finish the game. With every game we have released, the goal has always been to try and exceed your expectations, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is no exception. We hope you understand that we need this extra time to deliver at the level of quality you expect and deserve. We look forward to sharing more information with you soon. Sincerely, Rockstar Games. Jason Schreier of Bloomberg reports that Rockstar is also looking to avoid putting employees into mandatory crunch situations to finish the game. In 2018, Jason reported that employees at Rockstar had mental breakdowns and marriages fall apart due to the crunch taking place at Rockstar to get Red Dead Redemption 2 over the finish line. So this delay is a positive one. The game gets more time to cook, developers get to keep their personal lives intact, and the world still gets Grand Theft Auto 6, just not for another year. Some in the industry claim that Grand Theft Auto 6 was going to save the games industry and reinvigorate interest in consoles and games overall. So the delay is being seen by some as a bit of a bad sign. Still, I think the fervor will be there for this game, whether it's this year or whether it was going to release this year or next. A few days after announcing the delay, Rockstar released the second trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6, and in 24 hours, it amassed nearly 500 million views. Those are some kind of bonkers numbers. 475 million views to be precise. The initial trailer released in late of 2023 and only amassed 93 million views in its first 24 hours. The Hollywood Reporter says that this trailer is the highest watched trailer for any entertainment property ever. For comparison, Deadpool and Wolverine, which released last year, debuted to 365 million views, and the Fantastic Four First Steps debuted to just over 200 million views in their respective first 24 hours. While it may not be a game that's meant for me, I'm clearly in the minority as the world is more hungry for this game than anything else in any other industry. Grand Theft Auto 6 launches next May, exclusively on consoles, with a PC release likely some months later. Before I move on to the next topic, I just want to say I did watch the trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6, the new one, and it is an absolutely stunning looking game. It's absolutely crazy how amazing that game looks. That being said, the amount of booty shots in the trailer is just wild. It's just really crazy. Every time the camera shifts to a different scene, it's gazing at someone's butt. It's something. You got to watch the trailer for yourself. It's pretty crazy. Okay, next topic. Last year, Nintendo did the thing and sued Palworld developer Pocket Pair for a number of patent violations. We talked about Pocket Pair and Palworld last year here and how Nintendo was opening litigation against them, but now we've kind of got some updates. So interestingly, nothing was brought up about the copy and pasted monster designs lifted seemingly right out of various Pokemon games in Palworld. The litigation is still ongoing, but Pocket Pair is proactively making changes to Palworld to seemingly appease Nintendo and their demands. Back in November, Pocket Pair released an update to Palworld that removed the ability for players to summon their monster companions by throwing Pal Spheres, the game's equivalent of Pokeballs. Instead, the monsters now just poof into being next to the player. This is a result of a patent Nintendo and the Pokemon Company has about capturing and summoning monsters with ball-like capsules. And now in an upcoming patch, Pocket Pair will be making another adjustment to the game. Players will no longer be able to glide using their monster companions, and will instead need to use a new generic glider item that can be found in the player's inventory. This is also the result of yet another patent Nintendo seemingly has on gliding with monster companions. Personally, I am not a fan of using patents to bully others into changing their games. It's wrong, flat out. I mean, how do they even have a patent on gliding using an animal? Dozens of games have features like that, and Nintendo has never gone after them. So why is Nintendo doing this? Pocket Pair effectively provoked the ire of Nintendo with their various PAL designs and the blatantly ripped off Pokemon designs, and in some cases seemingly lifted entire character models out of Pokemon games before making minor adjustments and then sticking them in the Palworld. Nintendo likely explored ways that they could go after Pocket Pair for these reasons, but were maybe advised that it would be a losing battle. So instead, they used these patents to make Pocket Pair's life harder. Nintendo is known for being incredibly protective of their secrets and their IP, and they will use the full extent of the law to protect themselves. Again, I think it's wrong of Nintendo to harass them over patents, but ultimately this is Pocket Pair's fault. They poked the hornet's nest, and now they are feeling that sting. I'm kind of blazing through this week's episode. I've got somewhere to be in a couple hours, so bear with me if this episode ends up a little shorter than usual. But for our final news topic, I want to talk more about Nintendo. So last week, Nintendo users logging into Nintendo Switch or various Nintendo-published apps on iPhone and Android were greeted with a message that an updated end-user license agreement and privacy policy were available and would need to be accepted before proceeding to play or use those applications. As usual, when these things are updated, corporations tend to sneak some devious little updates that attempt to erode the rights of consumers, and this update is no different. A lot of people have nice, warm, fuzzy feelings when they think about the all-ages-friendly Nintendo, but sadly, the non-creative types running the business end of things at Nintendo are not on the warm and fuzzy spectrum. One of the biggest changes is by accepting the agreement, you forfeit the right to sue Nintendo. This is likely aimed at class action lawsuits, which Nintendo has dealt with in the past due to faulty Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Instead, the documentation says that most issues can be resolved by contacting customer service. The highest level you can take it to would be an arbitration, which is of course Nintendo's preference over something like a lawsuit, which is more expensive for them. Users can opt out of the new mandatory arbitration clause by sending a letter to Nintendo via snail mail asking to be removed, after accepting the terms and conditions, but you have to act fast as you only have 30 days after accepting the new updated terms that you can still opt out under. So as soon as you accept those terms, if you did that last week when Nintendo Switch got that update, you need to send in that letter now if you want to retain the ability to sue Nintendo. Now, these mandatory arbitration clauses in these EULAs are on shaky legal ground at best, and have been thrown out of U.S. courts before. Still, the clause is there to likely intimidate any individuals from taking action, as the clause increases the amount of hurdles consumers will have to overcome in order to, get any kind of results. I sent in my letter last week, and I really do encourage you to do the same. The new terms also contain updated language regarding those who hack their consoles. Previously, those who hack their Nintendo Switch and play online with pirated games, unauthorized homebrew applications, or your own game backups would be at risk of getting their account banned and lose access to any of their paid digital content. Another good reason not to buy digital. Now the terms state that Nintendo reserves the right to remotely disable your system and deactivate it from functioning altogether. Essentially, your Switch or Switch 2 would become a paperweight. I feel like Nintendo is trying to bait a lawsuit from this one. Nintendo vehemently disagrees with current laws in the US protecting consumers' rights to fiddle with electronics they purchase and modify them. I think they would love the opportunity to set some new precedent in court that undoes previous legal findings. A big change in the privacy department has to do with the new camera accessory for Nintendo Switch 2, which allows players to see and interact with friends they are playing with online. The privacy policy Nintendo says, or in the updated Nintendo privacy policy, Nintendo says that all of your recordings will be uploaded and sent to Nintendo for moderation purposes. In the US, the new terms make no mention of deleting these records, which means law enforcement could potentially subpoena Nintendo to obtain these recordings at any point in the future, if they're going to just literally retain them forever. So maybe keep your voice and video sessions on Nintendo Switch 2 warm, fuzzy, and family friendly, just like Nintendo, right? End transmission.